For the purpose of this video, I have created a small form, feedback form. Here, the user will be sending a title and a description of the feedback back to the REST API. So in this video, I'll be showing you all the things that you require step by step. So to get started, first of all, you will be requiring is the package or dependency of HTTP. Right. So here you can simply write Flutter pub add HTTP. This following command will be adding the library of HTTP in your pubspec.yaml file. So the first thing you have to do is create a new service. So here I'll be creating a new service of REST API service. And in this service, I'll be adding bunch of properties, bunch of functions, bunch of methods that will be helpful for us to interact with the REST API. So the first thing that I'll be doing is I'll be getting a new function of send feedback. For the purpose of the tutorial, we will be using post function, that is, we will be sending data back to the REST API. So here for the following function, the first thing we'll be requiring is the import of HTTP. So here I'll be simply importing HTTP as a variable of HTTP. Right now, the first thing we'll require is a URL as well. So I'll be creating a new constant URL. Now the URL will be something that you will be using in order to interact with the API. For me, the URL will be a local host. So because I'll be using a system-based REST API, that is my locally REST API. Now, in case you are using a REST API back from the backend which is deployed over to server, you have to paste that URL. And this URL will be helpful for us to interact with the API. Now the second step to interact with the API is create a function of talking with the API. For example, here I can create a new response, and this response will be in the form of await for the client of the HTTP. Now we require a client in order to communicate with the REST API through the following URL. And here I'll be creating a new client. Let's say a new client is equal to HTTP dot client. Easy. Now I'll be also importing HTTP as a normal form. Now this client will be helpful for us in order to talk with the REST API by providing us bunch of functions. If I type here client dot, you can see we'll be getting bunch of functions from the library. That is, we'll be getting functions or responses like get, put, post, delete, etc. and etc. Now in order to send data back to the API, we'll be requiring a post function. Right. Now this post request will be helpful for us in order to send data back. And if you hover over post, we'll be requiring certain parameters, that will be requiring URL, that is URI, headers, body, etc. and etc. Now what I'll do, I'll be creating a new URI here. Now URI is something that helps us in order to decode the entire URL. For example, I can create a new variable of URI should be equal to URI dot parse the URL. Right, now I can copy the URI and I can paste it here. After this, we'll be requiring one more thing, which are headers. Headers are something that are important for us to send some critical data back to the API, and also the header contains some of the information as the format type, that is format output that we are sending back to the REST API, and the format output that is format input we are taking back from the REST API for the application. Right. So first thing what I'll do is I have to create a bunch of headers. I've already got some headers, so I can use the headers here. So these headers are something which are industry based, and all of you will be requiring this header. Now after this, you will be requiring more headers, such as let's say some key, some authorization key, etc. and etc. And that you can declare it like this. This will be helpful for you in order to declare new headers. But for now, we don't require any authorization key. So these three headers will be helpful for us for the moment. So here I'll be creating a new headers and a new body. Right, now I'll be creating a new body here, which will be a constant variable, let's say body. Now the body will be a form of JSON type, and the body will be requiring certain parameters. Now if I go back to my server, if I say feedback service, I'm using Nest.js here, we'll be requiring these four parameters. Right, so we'll be requiring user information ID, we'll be requiring description, title, and assets. Right, so for now what I'll do, I'll copy paste everything and paste it here. Now for the demo purpose, I'll be using one as a user information body and other information. So this is the body we'll be requiring. Now what I have to do, I have to encode this body. So I can use the JSON encode function and I can paste my body here. Now as soon as we do it encode, we have to change the body type, that is a parameter type, to be a final. Now here for the body purpose, I can input a body here, right? Now here you can see we'll be requiring await fam, so I can make it asynchronous, the entire function, and I can make the function type to be a future. Right, so this is how it will go here. We'll be requiring a response from the body. Now we have to use different parameters, that is dynamic variables for our properties, right? So for that purpose, we can create a new variable that is required variables here. So for now, we are only required two different variables, that is a title and a description. So I'll say a title and a description. Easy. So here I can use a title and description. We can leave the assets empty for now. We don't require them. So I'll make it either a string of a empty string. Right now here you can see we are getting a response back. So for now I'll simply debug print, that is print the entire response in a two-string format. Right, so now let's try to send data back. Now before sending the data back, I would like to show you a platform which is helpful for me, which I have been using since year for my tutorial purpose, for my learning purpose, which is GeeksforGeeks. And you know what? In the month of April, they are running a new challenge of 390 challenge. Now through this challenge, if you select any course, let's say we are going for Java, let's say you want to enroll for a Java course and you try to complete the Java course 90% in 90 days, you'll be getting a 90% refund back from GeeksforGeeks. What you have to do, you have to enroll in this course. We have to complete this course 90% in 90 days, and thus you can get 90% refund. This program will help you in order to complete the course as fast as possible, as quick as possible, and thus you can get a 90% refund. You can use this program or any of the following course available on GeeksforGeeks. There's a link in the description of this video. You can tap on that link. You can go to the GeeksforGeeks website. You can enroll in the following course and you can have 90% refund through the following scheme of GeeksforGeeks. Now please check out the link in the description, check out GeeksforGeeks and check out 390 challenge. Now coming back to the video, what we have to do is we have to instantiate a new uh, instance of our REST API service. Right. So what I'll do, I'll be creating here a new instance. So let's say REST API service is equal to REST API service. Easy. Now what we can do, we can go down here and here I'll simply say REST API service dot send feedback. Now for title and description, I have some controllers. So I can say title controller dot text and description controller dot text. Now let's say what we are getting back in the response. Now, before getting back in the response, one thing we have to do is we have to create defined route. For example, in order to send a feedback, my route is feedback slash create. You can have any route that your backend is providing to you. You just have to enter that route here. Now, after this, what we can do, we can open debug console. I can say some feedback and some data and send it. Now here you can see we are getting a response of instance of response. In order to print it, I can use the body tag. Let's try to print it back. Let's send a response, send. Here you can see we are getting a response of status to be true and data of feedback added. Now what we can also do, we can create a map of, let's say res. It should be JSON decode. All right, JSON decode the response dot body. We have to just use the string of the body and decode it. Now if I try to say that, let's say the status is equal to res and the status, if you try to encode it and if I try to debug print the status, let's try to send some response back. Here you can see we'll be getting the value of true, and similarly we can do the same for data. And if I do it, if I print it out, you can see we'll be getting our data back. Now, how do I know it? Because in the following response, we are getting two properties of status and data. Right. So this is how you can interact with the REST API using a post function in order to send data back. Now, in the next video, I will try to share how you can create other functions, that is get, delete, and put functions, and complete the entire cycle of REST API. Now, before leaving this video, I am working on a new course which is Pulse.ai. This course will be launched on this YouTube channel for free. Through this course, you will be learning everything you need in order to build a social media app. This course will be completely free for everyone. So stay tuned for the trailer of this course. Till then, have a great day. Bye bye.